Welcome to Art Beats. This is Susan from the Community Library of Allegheny Valley. Today we will discover the collage art of Romare Bearden. Romare Bearden was an African-American artist born September 2nd, 1911 in Charlotte, North Carolina. He later moved to Harlem with his parents. In 1927, Bearden left Harlem for Pittsburgh to attend high school, living with his grandmother in the boarding house she ran in the city's East Liberty neighborhood. In 1935, he graduated from New York University with a degree in education, later becoming a social worker and a working artist. Heavily influenced by the music, poetry, and art of the Harlem Renaissance, Bearden loved music, especially jazz and blues. Around 1965, he started working in collage. Best known for his richly textured, complex collages, he was inspired by jazz music for his subjects, often featuring musicians. Throughout his life, Bearden gave back to the African American arts community as well as the art world at large. Romare Bearden is considered one of the greatest collage artists in modern history. He died on March 12, 1988. Here we see Romare Bearden in a Long Island City studio from the 1980s, with a quote from him. "People have asked me why I use the collage. I find that when some detail, such as a hand or an eye, is taken out of its original context and placed in a different space and form configuration, it acquires a different quality. In such a process, the meaning is extended." Let's learn about collage. The dictionary definition of collage is a technique of composing a work of art by pasting on a single surface various materials not normally associated with one another, as newspaper clippings, parts of photographs, theater tickets, and fragments of an envelope. Collage is a French word that means to cut and paste. Collagist is one who makes collages or who has made a specific collage. Let's learn about the Harlem Renaissance. A period of intense creativity that took place in the 1920s, the Harlem Renaissance was a celebration of African American heritage. In Harlem, a black neighborhood in New York City, a talented and determined group of writers decided to use their work to express pride in being African American. Jazz music, though not born in Harlem, was flourishing at the time, and it drew the public's attention to the richness of African American culture. Before this Renaissance or rebirth, African American culture had been unknown to most Americans. Let's learn about jazz. Jazz is a type of music which was invented in the United States that combines African America with European music. Jazz first became popular in the 1910s, and New Orleans, Louisiana, is often called the home of jazz. Characteristics of jazz include rhythm and repetition, a blues quality, individuality and expression, and improvisation. Jazz bands can have many different types of instruments. They often feature drums, piano, bass, trumpet, trombone, and saxophone. Jazz often includes singers too. In 2011, the United States Postal Service issued stamps to commemorate the life and accomplishments of Romare Bearden. He gets 4 forever stamps, which means they carry no specific price but are good for first-class postage forever. They come in a set of 4. They are left to right: Conjunction, 1971, Odysseus, Poseidon, the sea god enemy of Odysseus, 1977, Prevalence of Ritual, Conjure Woman, 1964, and Falling Star, 1979. Here are 4 examples of Romare Bearden art. 2 of the collages reflect when he lived in Pittsburgh, and the other 2 show his love of music. Pittsburgh Memories, 1984. Collage of various papers with fabric, foil, paint, ink, color pencil, graphite, and bleached areas on fiberboard. 28 5/8 by 23 1/2 inches at Carnegie Museum of Art in Pittsburgh. This takes us back in time to life at his grandparents' boarding house. On the left, a mill worker leaves for his shift, lunch bucket in hand. Front and center, we see inside, showing a room with borders, and in the background, a steel mill. 3 folk musicians, 1967. Collage of various papers with paint and graphite on canvas. 50 by 60 inches at the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts. This is one of Bearden's most renowned and recognizable individual works. Showing 2 guitar players and a single banjo player, notice how the bold solid shapes of the guitar stand out against the intricate patterns on the clothing. Jazz Village, 1967. Mixed media with collage on board. 30 by 40 inches. Estate of Romare Bearden, American Contemporary Art Galleries, New York. Influenced by jazz and the blues, here are multiple musicians and their instruments. Spring Way, 1964. Collage of various papers on cardboard. 6 5/8 by 9 3/8 inches at the Smithsonian American Art Museum. Another look back to his days living in Pittsburgh, his grandparents' boarding house faced Penn Avenue, and to the rear was an alley called Spring Way. Our at-home art activity, inspired by Romare Bearden, is a jazz collage art project. Materials you will need: a 9 by 12 piece of construction paper for background, magazines, catalogs, store ads, brochures, newspapers, photos, cards, posters, etc., glue stick or liquid white glue, scissors, and optional, listen to jazz music while making your collage. Getting started. Cover your workspace area. Look through the collected magazines, store ads, catalogs, newspaper, photos, etc., and cut out objects and faces. Include body parts, small and large images, places, urban and rural, and things, buildings, objects animate and inanimate. Be sure to look for colors and patterns that you like. Faces can be cut apart into smile, nose, eyes, and put together to create a new face. Other random pieces can be cut into shapes, used in the background, or pieced together. Now, think of a scene, a place, an event, or memory that you want to create. What jazz instrument or instruments will you include? Begin by placing cutout pieces onto the construction paper. Arrange and move them around as you build your collage. Make any changes to your design before you glue them on. Continue to attach and layer all of the pieces you want to use to complete your design. Be sure to show off your artwork. You can focus on one musician and instrument, or just like jazz music, go improv and make things up as you go along. The dynamic collages of Romare Bearden are truly amazing. Thank you for joining me. See you next time.